Before we look closer at some of the more common positions and roles within the localization industry and look at the skills needed for them, let's look at some top tips needed to get hired. Get to know yourself first. Write down some of your strengths, write down your weaknesses, your likes and your dislikes. And then look up some sample jobs with the job descriptions or roles in the industry from the list that I will provide a little later on, or from open jobs that you see advertised on the web. And see if the duties appeal to your strengths and if they get you excited about the role. Look up some profiles of some people with those job titles on LinkedIn and make a list of the top skills that are needed for each of these positions and that they list on their profile. Reverse engineer your resume to ensure that you incorporate those words and those skills into your background. This will help ensure that you get found by recruiters, agency recruiters, by recruiters within corporations that are searching for via Boolean strings for people to match their roles. Give concrete examples within your resume of results achieved. And where it's possible, in particular for sales roles, list numbers, list targets achieved in the past. Or if it's production jobs, list the size of the project budgets that you managed, for example. If you find a company that you like and they don't list an internship, but they have open roles and they're hiring in the areas that you're interested in, reach out and offer to work as an intern if you're just starting out. There's a skills shortage and forward-thinking companies will be happy to invest in training, in particular if you have the educational background and if you've shown enthusiasm by reaching out directly and that you can demonstrate that you've done your research and know why you want that job and why you want to work for that company. Make sure that your LinkedIn and other social profiles tell the same story. There are lots of free tips on the internet on best ways to be found by recruiters and best layout for your profile. Build a meaningful community online with people that work in your dream job. Connect with company CEOs, connect with HR directors and senior managers in companies that you really want to work for. Follow them online and engage with their content. Our industry is very relationship focused. We can be a tight-knit group, and making the right connection and joining the right communities is very important. You can do this by finding localization-focused groups online. You can offer to volunteer in organizations to gain experience. Examples of some groups that might work to do this would be Translators Without Borders, Women in Localization. They have local groups in many different countries, as well as a global online community. You can also offer to attend free networking events like Lock Lunch. This used to be an actual lunch, an actual physical lunch in different cities across the globe. The pandemic meant that these were moved to virtual events, which still continue. So you can join in different locations in many different countries. There is also International Multilingual User Group, which is an online forum for localization professionals and that from time to time run in-person events in the Bay Area. Follow research organizations like Slater and NIMSY for industry information and stories. Also read Multilingual Magazine for articles and news about our industry. So let's talk about roles. In general, roles in our industry fall into the following categories. Linguistic. In this category, we have jobs like interpreters, translators, editors, language coordinators, language project managers and reviewers, proofreaders, and machine translation post editors. On the technical side, we have QA, internationalization engineers, localization engineers, solution architects, technical managers, UI or user interface localization managers, and globalization managers on the client side. There are many, many business roles. Executive level, C-level positions across different disciplines within larger language service providers, sales, marketing, HR, technical and operations groups. Roles like operations manager, production manager, group manager. This can often be the same position, but with different titles in different companies. Typically, though, it involves heading up a group of project managers and leads. Customer success manager. This is a newer role that we see more of today. Typically, somebody with a hybrid background from production, but also perhaps even sales, with a background managing clients' expectations and relationships. There are project manager roles on the client side and also on the vendor side. Localization manager roles, typically a client-side position. Localization strategists. This can be a client-side role, similar to a vendor-side solution architect. Procurement managers, again, typically on the client side, responsible for choosing the vendors to work with and the freelancers to work with. Vendor managers and resource managers and supply chain managers. One of the areas of growth and where there is definitely a skill shortage and roles that we have across our desk here in Line People Global all the time is within sales. In sales, there's two different categories. Business development managers, which are typically known as hunters, responsible for landing new business and new logos into clients in various different vertical markets like life science and legal or IT, for instance. And then also account managers, which are responsible for managing existing client relationships and going wider and deeper into those clients, developing more revenue and more clients and more projects for the vendors. Marketing and content creation is also a large growth area. Typical roles can include chief marketing officers, head of content, global content creators, multilingual SEO, and SEM specialist. And with the explosion of content, these roles are set to continue and grow. Career paths within the localization industry. In the industry, there is a natural progression from one role to the other. Examples of this would be perhaps for a linguist role. This role can develop into, say, project manager or localization QA. You could also work, as mentioned before, as a freelancer and have the opportunity to really develop and run your own business. Project managers typically move on to senior PM or operations managers, procurement managers, perhaps even solution architects or strategists. Vendor managers naturally progress into either HR, perhaps even recruitment or group HR managers, and possibly even to supply chain directors. Localization QA professionals will progress to localization engineers or perhaps internationalization engineers. Operations managers can develop into executive or strategic management positions. Sales executives can move into more enterprise, senior level, large scale sales, or into sales management or sales executive roles. The localization industry is an exciting place to be. The careers are varied and wide and global, and there are many different roles and paths that you can take within this industry.